listening to After the Review with Peter and Terrell. New episodes of our podcast are available every Tuesday afternoon on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podbean. If you like our content, remember to comment, share, and subscribe, and enjoy the episode. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the After Review with Peter and Terrell. I'm your host, Peter, and with me this week co-hosting is my man, Dhalston. What's up? It's been a while.
What's up, man? It's been a minute.
Yeah. Everything good down there in San Angelo?
Everything's good, just living life.
I like it out there. You got the freedoms. You said you were out at the gym. What'd you say? Nothing can stop those gains.
Yeah, we don't have all that lockdown stuff out here right now, so we're all right.
I know, haven't been there. I can kind of see why. It's not like here where everyone's being a fool.
Right. It's not as tightly compacted, and there's a lot of old people who stay home these days, so
that's nice.
It's not too bad.
Nice to have that freedom. So, all right, let's get into your boy Dak. He signed his franchise tag, $31.5 million. You like it? Do you think long-term deal, short-term deal? Is Dak gone maybe after this year? What's your opinion on all of this?
I think he's signing it because I think part of him is he's tired of all the drama of the everyday. That's literally what have we been talking about? For the past month or two. It's Dak or whatever COVID stuff or whatever Jordan stuff before that. Like, he's the only thing in relevant sports that they've talked about for the past 2 or 3 months maybe.
Yeah, if we get a story that's not COVID related, it's a Cowboy related story, i.e. Dak.
Right. And I think part of it is him being tired of that. But also I think he wants to show commitment to the Cowboys.
Yeah, like good faith, like is a good faith effort.
Like I'm going to take this franchise tender. Let's keep working on this deal, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to show up and take this money that you've offered me, and we're good, I think is what he's trying to say. Instead of being that guy who wants to hold out and make it an issue. Yeah,
unlike my running back over there. I like it. Dak is taking a risk a little bit because, it's $31 million. It's a good payday. Sure. He definitely needs the payday. But new head coach, we don't know if Mike McCarthy likes him at all. And if things go, it's going to be a weird season if we even play football this year, which that is getting a little more up in the air with everything going on. Like, he could be play himself out of a job if things don't if you don't win the division, you're not the quarterback next year. You can franchise him again, but do you really want to franchise him again? You're almost at a rebuild at that point.
I agree. But the thing is we have, so we signed Andy Dalton, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have the insurance in case a decent quarterback who could come in and you can continue to build around whoever is playing quarterback and probably still win games. You have the offensive line, you have the running back, you build the defense a little bit more, and I think you can still win plenty of games in a division with the Giants and the Redskins.
Yeah, definitely. You can definitely. Andy Dalton, me and Terrell talked about this. He's not a slide off much from Dak. Andy Dalton is middle of the road. He will get you 9-7, 10-6, maybe 11-5. If things bounce your way and he's playing good. He's got weapons galore, which he never necessarily completely had in Cincinnati. They had AJ Green, which is good, but they didn't have necessarily a great run game. It was always they could never find that running back, and it was running back by committee.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Eifert was there towards the tail end when they were spiking. So, you get Zeke, you get full protection. The defense hopefully gets better, which we can talk about why they might be getting really better real soon here. But so I think that's a good fit. But then again, Dak, you kind of play yourself into this really awful situation with, CeeDee Lamb and everybody. It's Dak wins the division, Dak wins a playoff game. You pay him $37 million. What do you what is going on at this point? What do you do? You're kind of in cap hell, I'm assuming.
Right. And no, that you're right. So it's kind of one of those things, you wanted to see him do well, and you, as the Cowboys fan, you want us to win games, but it's I don't want him to win so many games that it breaks us for the next 5 years.
Win the Super Bowl, and you can break us, but don't get all my hopes up, let us down, and then still put us in a terrible situation.
Yeah, don't give me an NFC title game and then have me like lose, good players off of this team because you want to be paid like you've won something when you haven't. So
the problem is the first to go is going to be the offensive line. That's the first thing that's going because they're older and they're highly
getting
paid.
older. They're highly paid. They're getting hurt these days. They went multiple. And Tyron Smith he's hurt every year.
You already lost your center.
Our center's gone. I mean, the line is still really good, but they're definitely trending downward these days.
And
so
it's not like Zeke's getting any younger either. Who knows with Zeke, especially since now he's got the Rona since he was out acting a fool.
And Zeke's never been hurt, but he gets hurt for real one time, and then what do you do? So I don't know.
It does feel like 95% of NFL teams are kind of in a similar situation. Though either you have a quarterback on a rookie deal and you're trying to win a Super Bowl in this next small window here, or you're overpaying a quarterback trying to put finagle stuff around them, and you're going to have a little bit of lulls, and hopefully they carry you. I mean, the only team that's going to be in okay shape is Seattle and Kansas City with Russell and Mahomes, because they can kind of I think they make up the difference in their contract for the lack of talent.
Fair, yeah.
Because we even see Rodgers at this point. What's going on there? They drafted a quarterback with the first pick.
They're preparing.
And then what's his value at this point? He's making a ridiculous, stupid amount of money, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think he's up in the 30s, right? Maybe, or like
so
high 20s or so.
So maybe you can plug and play him, kind of the Brett Favre a la, Minnesota, a team that's ready to go that just doesn't have a quarterback, and you can bite the bullet on the contract for 2 years or something like that and make two really good stabs. Or Tampa Bay with Tom Brady, another good one. But Tom's contract's not even that bad.
No, Tom's never been a contract guy. Even he wanted to leave New England to get his money, but his contract is fine in Tampa. Yeah, he's earned all that money, so
yeah, he's all about the bling bling at this point. I don't think they're paying anybody on Tampa. They're not paying anybody on that defense. Are they paying? I think they're paying Mike Evans. That's about it.
Yeah,
and he puts up the production. You're not paying Chris Godwin, who's maybe your best receiver. So they're in a perfect spot too, I think. So, but
I've never understood that concept of like Dak wanting to, I don't know what exactly he's asked for. I know he wants like a certain year amount. Dallas wants a certain year amount, and that's where they're off at this point. But even with the amount of money he's asking for, I've never understood that, because I know we've talked about that before. Of like, there's a guy in our league who has dominated for 2 decades and never been the highest paid guy.
Not even, I think, maybe 10. He's sitting right in the middle of the pack most of the time.
Right, and like, you make good money. Like, I didn't realize making $25 million or $30 million a year wasn't enough.
Tough life right there.
Right, and then being a longtime Cowboy quarterback and having the star on your helmet comes with numerous things.
See Troy Aikman, see Tony Romo, and Dak is every bit as personable as those two are.
Exactly. So I don't know. It's never made sense to me, but
Terrell said it's retribution. I like this, that I played my 4th round pick. I got there's a little disrespect that I overproduced what I was getting paid. So you need to make up for back. It's lost wages essentially.
I mean, we picked you. We didn't have to pick you. You're welcome.
That's true.
You're welcome. Like, you could have slid to somewhere else and been a bum. Like, but it's fine.
Yeah,
he got so lucky with being drafted to Dallas, and you think he would want to stay there and make it as workable as possible, because you stay in good graces with Mr. Jones, he takes care of you for the rest of your life, or that family does at least.
Yes, and it's not like he doesn't have a flawless resume on him. Last year was a big ding on the resume, so him to be walking to the table like, oh yeah,
absolutely,
big dick swinging, like I'm the man right now. It's like, really, are you the man, Dak?
Right, which is why I was so confused. Like, I mean, I watch every game, every snap, and this man, I guess he was hurt maybe that last quarter of the season, but
everybody's banged up at the last quarter of the season.
Right, we could not beat a Philadelphia Eagles team who I don't even know
They
who
were
was starting.
Carson Wentz was thrown to a
they had
trash
Carson
can.
Wentz and then
A trash
some flag
can.
football players, bro.
Some guy from the Y.
Literally, and I just sat there and I'm like, I don't understand why we can't score points. It was just, I mean, he was throwing balls into the ground. He couldn't hit people in stride. Like, it wasn't like, we were putting up 40 and losing. We were putting up 10.
I'm pissed because I forgot the number. Somebody said it this morning. In the 8 wins, his numbers were fantastic, and the 8 losses, they were horrible. And then I even said, oh shit, but one of those losses is Minnesota, and he played his ass off against Minnesota. So how bad were those other 7 games? Because Minnesota, he was a monster out there, and it was something ridiculous, like 5 touchdowns to 5 picks or something like that, compared to like 27-2 in the 8 wins, and then ridiculous amount of yards per game. So I was like, Jesus, Dak, what happened in 7 games against? I mean, I don't know. The schedule wasn't that tough last year, was it?
No, I mean, a lot of those games were beyond winnable. Okay.
So, yeah, like the Jets game early in the season.
Exactly. Let me go back and let me reference these really quick. Okay, so we lose to New Orleans on the road.
Fair.
By 2. Fair. Should have won that game. We lose to Green Bay because we couldn't stop the running back.
Another fair loss, though.
Fair, yes. They went, 13-3 last year or something?
Even though their record said they should have been 8-8. But regardless, yes, they won.
We lose to the Jets.
Yikes.
By 2, which that game was not that close. We had, a trash can touchdown at the end.
4 straight pass interferences to get him.
And another one in the fourth quarter, I think. So we were down by 2 scores in the fourth. Embarrassing. Minnesota, fair. New England, fair. Buffalo at home. At home. Not in Buffalo. You're playing in the Dome.
That's not
15 points.
That's not good.
Right. We lose to Chicago.
Oh, wasn't that Buffalo game on Thanksgiving?
Buffalo was the Thanksgiving game.
Yes, that was after. That was a bad. I don't know.
We got bullied that game.
Mm-hmm. And that was after New England kind of put the clamps down on Amari too.
Exactly.
So it's fair. That's weird. The Dak.
So it's just It's just hard to look at some of these. I mean, we lost to some good teams. Fair, but those are games you should win. And if you win those games, Dak, maybe you have a case, right? And if you beat New Orleans and you beat Green Bay and maybe you beat New England or you beat Buffalo, then you have a case. But you don't have a case when you go 8-8.
Or at least your numbers are gaudy and you can blame it on the defense if it really is an issue. But the defense played well enough. But the defense might be getting some help here soon with Jamal Adams because, damn it, I hate being a freaking Jet fan, second fan of the Jets. It's so painful.
That's unfortunate.
I root for such painful teams to root for. But what are they doing? Jamal Adams demanded a trade. He's basically said he's done when he has 2 years left on his contract still.
Trade me.
Yeah, and he listed 8 teams, and the top 8 teams are all the top 8 favorites in Vegas to win the Super Bowl. So clearly he's saying he wants to win games.
Want to win, yeah.
But I'm so pissed if I'm a Jets fan at this point. Why couldn't you say something to me, in April when DeAndre Hopkins, because one of the teams he listed was Houston because he's from Dallas. You could have fleeced the Texans for DeAndre Hopkins. So I could be like, oh, man, I gave up. You know what? You could have traded Le'Veon Bell and Jamal Adams for DeAndre Hopkins and 3 number 1 picks or some shit like that.
Probably.
And you would have been, okay, that's fine.
Houston would have done that for sure.
Yeah, we know. Bill O'Brien was just giving things. Bill O'Brien, worst GM in the history of football, maybe. He's just giving things away. So at least you can live with, okay, I lost my best defensive player, but now I got DeAndre Hopkins that Sam Darnold, who I like, I know most people like, especially Jet fans, to throw the ball to somebody for once. It's so frustrating to deal with them. But they're going to get at least the number 1 pick for Jamal, I think.
Probably, unless someone wants to give up someone big time, which I doubt. So
I mean, because Dallas, I did see it was like a first and a third, and Michael Gallup for like Jamal Adams and a 6th, which was interesting.
Yeah,
I don't
know.
Do you want to Are you willing to? Yeah, are you willing to pay that price for him? Because the defense definitely needs safety help.
I would, but I just don't. It's the fact that he's going to be. You're going to have to give up a lot to get him, but then he wants to be paid.
He said he wouldn't demand a contract extension for a team that trades for him.
So he would stay under his current contract for the next 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's getting paid pretty well, I think. He was a top 15 pick, I believe. Yeah. So he's still getting paid. I mean, maybe if he really plays his contract high next year, he'll want, a restructure after that 5th-year option pickup. Right. But he clearly just wants to win, which is frustrating because I'm stupidly optimistic that the Jets are close to winning because I do think that they have a quarterback and maybe they worked on their offensive line a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's a new GM and stuff, so I think it's weird because the GM has said he wants to pay him top dollar.
Yeah, I think he just wants out. I don't know. I guess he just doesn't see it happening there for him, which is unfortunate. But
it does sound like he might be a little homesick putting both Texas teams
probably
on the list.
I mean, he wants to get back to Texas. I know you've seen the videos. He's in Dallas right now.
Yeah, just hanging. Yeah, that's what
kind of to Kroger, and the people are asking him, "Are you coming?" He's like, "I'm trying."
Yeah, that didn't help things if there was any sort of issue of going. Like, how do you go back to if say they don't trade for him? How do you go back to that locker room?
Right, like you clearly don't want to be here.
You've said goodbye to multiple teammates on Twitter or Instagram on posts, just like bye, out, moving on. Do you?
Is he gonna not play if they don't trade him? I don't understand.
I don't know. How can you sit out? The Jets can theoretically, because they're not really paying anybody besides Le'Veon Bell, who they're going to cut after next year anyway because of his cap hit, that you can theoretically wanted to be a dick. They could hold him for another 5 years, I think they said, Jamal Adams, and not move him. They can pay him his 4th year, tag him for his 5th year, franchise tag him again, and if they really wanted to, they could transition tag him to get another 8 year out of that original contract. But do you really risk playing it that way? I don't. It's just. It seems like a bold strategy when you have zero leverage. He could have played out this season at least and see what the Jets did, and then teams would have reasonably said, okay, we can trade for you and pay for you. Even though the cap, I don't know what they're going to do with the cap because the cap's supposedly going down $40 million next year, which is going to screw everybody.
Oh, because of COVID?
Yeah, everything's messed up. Their
lack of income.
Yeah, they're projecting the no revenue from the fans. Which, how does the NFL? Hopefully, the NFL does something with that because the Vikings are extra screwed with that because you project your cap and work your cap. You don't necessarily know the number, but you assume it's going up. But if it goes down $40 million, Jesus, it puts teams that are on the fringe in total cap hell.
That's tough. I don't know what they're going to do about that.
Hopefully they don't come back. I know they when they didn't have the cap in 2011 and the Cowboys went all crazy and stuff, they laid the hammer down on them. So hopefully they get it under control a little bit and not have teams freaking out. Because what are the Chiefs? I know the Chiefs are another team in bad. They have no cap, and then they're going to have to pay Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, they're going to have to pay him a lot of money.
Yeah, that's $40 million large. I'm okay with that. Yeah. But again, this goes into this whole other thing. I'm talking about cap exclusionaries, quarterbacks and running backs. I think they need to do something with these two for the whole cap thing.
What do you mean?
So, quarterbacks are way too much of the cap for their production. There's 2 guys, maybe 3 guys that are worth their pay that they can make up for it. And then running backs, if you're a good running back, you're under contract for 4 to 5 years, basically, and those are your prime years, and you're underpaid for your production, and then they want a big deal, and the NFL just doesn't give you a big deal.
Right.
So, Dalvin Cook we offered him 9, he said he was disrespected, he wants 13, McCaffrey's getting 16, and I'm like, we can't pay him that. He's not worth that. He's good. His backup averaged the same amount of yards as him when he wasn't in. So I get it. So maybe some people said do a cap exclusion. So, like, you pay him $10 million, but it only counts as $5 million towards the cap. So it's not really as big of a cap. Because, let's be honest, the teams have the money to pay these guys whatever they want.
Oh, for sure. Dallas could pay anybody anything.
Yeah, it's not money. Money is not an issue. It's the whole cap thing. Or maybe the running back rookie scale slides higher, so they're in their own little category. So when you get drafted as a running back in this round, you make this amount of money compared to what your normal contract is, just based on any old pick.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, do you see running back? I wouldn't think you'd start see running back slide because teams are be like, oh, we're just not going to take running backs high. It's like, no, because if you see a talent there that you want, you're going to go draft that talent.
You're going to take them.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think running backs and quarterbacks are overpaid, running backs are underpaid based on their production level, and they kind of need to work this back out.
I agree, for sure. Yeah. Especially with just the amount of beating that running backs go through.
Right. And then, like, maybe running backs can come out as a sophomore, because your prime years are junior, sophomore, junior, senior in college. So maybe, and my dad was like, yeah, what is that, like 3 or 4 guys? I'm like, maybe a little bit more. Guys don't necessarily pop in their 3rd or 4th year in the NFL. They're usually popping 1st, 2nd, 3rd year. You know right away if a guy can ball.
Right. Yeah, so, I mean, I think in the past few years, you've seen a lot of first-year guys come in, you're like, who?
Yeah.
And then you're scrambling to your fantasy, waiver wire to snag them because, they're balling. So yeah, I think you're right on that one.
I hope, because then you get screwed on the back end with like the long-term deal. So maybe you get paid up front and then you can't get the long-term deal and you realize, okay, I'm a rotational back, because everybody in the NFL is a multi-back system anyway, and that's how guys last a little bit longer. I mean, the only person, Adrian Peterson seems like the only old running back that figured it out, that was getting paid, that kind of took a pay cut to be a backup guy, even though he's the starter in Washington because of everything that's happened with Darius Geis. So that wasn't really a thing. Because Frank Gore never made over $3 million a year. He was just always kind of getting paid. And that's why he's lasted.
Never?
No, never. He's never been paid.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can pay, you can play that long, take that beating. If you're getting paid the bottom dollar, nobody cares.
Right.
So I don't know what's going on, but more stuff going on. How about so we still got coronavirus going around, and everybody in college seems to have gotten it at this point. I don't know if you've seen this. I mean, all of Clemson, all of Clemson football got it. All of LSU got it. University of Texas has it. Kansas State has it. Boise State shut down all campus facilities because it seems like all these kids are being, I don't want to call it, they're just being young kids. They're going out, they're going to the clubs, they're going to the bars.
Right. I mean, these kids have been not on campus for 3 to 4 months, doing with no regulation. I mean, we were on a shutdown, but they were going. I mean, I've hung out with friends here. I mean, I'm sure they've gone out and hung out with people and been around different family members and cousins and friends and whoever, and then they come back together, and then boom. I mean, that's kind of how it works. So I'm not surprised by it, but I think it poses the question to the NCAA, but also like the NFL and whatever. Like what is deemed as being too unsafe to play? Like what happens when this happens in September? And it's like.
They're going with the Terrell model, I think. Everybody just gets it now. So you don't have to deal with it in September when it spikes back up and we can just keep playing. I know somebody joked Nick Saban's trying to get his team to catch it now. So they're all good. The whole team. He wants them to catch it. It's like
I would agree with that.
I don't know. We don't know what the long-term effects are on this stuff.
Fair.
Some of the stuff out there, I mean, people have been really sick because these are young, healthy guys like Gundy said, they're going to be okay usually. Most of them are asymptomatic, but are they getting the lung issues that we're seeing with necessarily some people that have been really sick, like permanent lung scarring and stuff like that? Because that's the last thing I want out of my athlete is to have lung damage. Jesus.
Right. Fair. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's just so much that's not known. But at the end of the day, America runs on sports. So.
The almighty dollar does seem to make a big impact on this. But I guess we all kind of knew this was a possibility. We just it's weird when it happens. I know they held Novak Djokovic held the tennis tournament last week in Serbia, and everybody caught it. That was there that played in it.
Yeah.
But then again, I see a video of them all dancing together shirtless in a nightclub. It's like, well, what do you think's gonna happen?
Right.
So, I guess everyone's fed up, but
for sure, I think a lot of people are just like, meh. Like,
I'll be okay.
If I get it, I get it. You know, I think most people are just gonna have to get it. It's gonna become. I think it's just gonna. I don't know. Maybe we'll eradicate it one day.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the flu.
For the foreseeable future, it's just gonna be the flu, right? Like,
and the problem
you get a vaccine every year if you want it, and you might get it, and
problem
deal
is
with it.
Most young people find Grammy's in real trouble if she catches it.
Right.
So maybe we might be segregating off all the old people and at-risk people for a year or so. Just lock them away somewhere.
For sure.
It's bad. But I know it just plays in everything. I know the NBA got a little nervous with Florida cases spiking like crazy the last week.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh,
really bad.
Jesus. But I said this would happen with the amusement parks opening up.
For sure. I mean, once we open back up, there's no way to stop it.
Nope.
There's no way. You can tell people to wear masks and wash their hands. There's some little Jimmy out there who's got it, who ain't washing his hands, who's not doing what he's supposed to do, which is fine.
And he may not even know he has it, to be fair. There's so many.
He has no idea.
There's so many asymptomatic carriers. We're getting into deep medical talk at this point. And let's be honest, we've been open for the past 2 weeks, essentially, with protests and everything going on. Everybody's been out there and just not cared. And the states are coming up. I know Austin had 3 bars shut down because 3 bars weren't following the guidelines. It's like, of course. I said they wouldn't follow the guidelines. People aren't going to follow the guidelines. They're annoyed. They're fed up. There's whatever at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it's not as bad as what it is. Hopefully this doesn't put a wrench in baseball, because I know baseball finally got ratified today, so we're going to have a baseball season for 60 games starting in July. Basketball's back with the bubble. Football, I mean, that's the only thing that I'm really worried about is football into the fall.
Yeah, and I mean, I think football can happen. I do think they're going to do something to limit fans, right? Like they're not going to be able to have sold out stadiums. There's no way. Yeah,
I know, but we say, half fan capacity. Oh, cool. So Kyle Field can have 50,000 plus people. Right. It's like, oh man, are we really social distancing if half the stadium's full? I mean, kind of.
Maybe you cap some stadiums, like, I don't know, that's somebody else's job, not mine. Honestly. But maybe you cap them at 30, but then I don't know, there's smaller stadiums that you cap. I guess it's just like a ratio seat to patron thing.
It's like 4 seats on the end of each row, and you leave all the middle open, so it's like 8 people essentially in a row. It is a lot to work out. Hopefully there's people behind the scenes working out all the logistics of everything. Worst case scenario, we just play all conference games where you don't have to fly so much, or it's take the team flight, go in, play a game, no fans, TV, watch it on TV. Because I've been watching soccer every morning since it started back up, and it's fine. It was weird without the sound, and I thought I wasn't gonna like the sound piped in, but I'm okay with the sound being piped in. I kind of like it. I hear the cheering, people going nuts for a goal. I'm like, wait a minute, but that's about it. I did see one where they messed up. It was hilarious. Somebody missed a goal and it was close, and it sounded like they scored. Like the fans started going ape shit. And I was like, somebody hit the wrong button. Yeah. On the crowd thing. So, I mean, I could live with that. I think at this point we all desperately want sports.
Yes. I mean, I can't imagine a fall without football. I don't know what I'd do. Like, I've been surviving so far because, like, I don't really care for baseball too much.
But basketball,
basketball's been tough. I've been missing it, yes.
It's bad. And I don't like that it's extended. I think they should just squish this thing down so we can get a title. LeBron wins the title. Everybody calls it an asterisk. We call them stupid, and it gives me something to talk about for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
but
fair.
As Terrell and I were talking about this, like, we do think every week, because it is sometimes hard to come up with stuff to talk about, but it does seem like that whoever has a story on sports, they wait. and then they release it at the perfect time when it seems like
Each
there's nothing.
week.
Yes,
Yeah.
each week there's always been a little bit something to talk
new.
about.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, shoot, we could talk about it. The whole Bubba Wallace thing, it kind of broke recently and they found a noose in his his garage car. Bubba Wallace, the only African-American NASCAR driver. He got the Confederate flag ban. But then the FBI just came out and said, no, it wasn't a noose. It was just a tied-up rope. So it's like, what's going on here? Which kind of... It's a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because it was an incredible moment yesterday watching it. All the drivers pushing his car up to the starting line, and it was really emotional. It was a really great view. He live streamed it from sitting in the car. It was just beautiful, and everyone around him. It was really emotional and moving, and then the race actually wasn't bad at the end. I only watched the last 10 laps or whatever, but it was a crazy finish. But now it seems like, okay, nobody is an asshole, which is a good thing.
Was it all fake? Yeah. It's like...
But Bubba didn't report it, so I don't want to say it was fake. Somebody on his team saw a rope that was tied up in the garage, and the FBI says that rope's been there since October of 2019. So you can't.
So it's just a rope.
It's just a rope, but again, we were talking like, did the guy want to see a noose, or is everybody on edge? Maybe because it's understandable. You'd be on edge a little bit with everything going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to hear that now because of what you're talking about. Like, it really seemed like the sport as a whole took like 5 steps forward yesterday, right?
Yeah, they banned the flag last week. They do everything yesterday, and it felt
like done everything right so far.
And everyone gives them shit. I know they were giving them shit. It's like, oh, why is it taking NASCAR so long? It's like, no. They're doing good now. That you should reward them for doing good now. Right. And it felt like, Bubba Wallace is going to be like the Jackie Robinson for NASCAR. It's going to be this whole breakthrough for African Americans to get into racing. Like, who the hell knows how many fans they could have had, but they thought they just couldn't be, in racing because of the culture of what racing was perceived to be.
Right.
And so, but yeah, go on. You were going. It was good, but now it is good again that nobody actually did that in NASCAR. Right.
So it's like, it's good that they all came together, but like, it's also good that like they were not wrong, but it was just a misunderstanding of some sort.
There wasn't an overt bigot out there throwing around nooses at Bubba.
Right. Hanging up a noose in Bubba's garage, like threatening him or something.
Within NASCAR, because there's no fan access to any of the stuff with everything going on. So it was everyone knew it had to be an inside. It had to be an inside job if it was actually there. So it is weird. You take the good with the bad. I think the imagery and everything that already happened with it, as long as everything's pretty clear, like, okay, this wasn't, Boy Cried Wolf or a Jesse Smollett situation, it was just a misunderstanding by somebody on the team who saw something that reported it, and it kind of got blown out of proportion. I think all the good stuff will come from it, and none of the bad backlash from it will happen, which is good. I mean, I saw shit. Like I said, Alvin Kamara's been going to the races watching. So who the hell knows how many more fans they have, which is good. It's not like I watch NASCAR, but we don't need a sport that has the bad, bad good old stigma of, there's just a stigma down here in the South. And I know I talked about this last week when we were, it was 2014, 2013 when we were living together, and the Confederate flag thing came up, and I asked you, and you're like, yeah, why? I never got why they had it. It was stupid. And I was like, oh, well, I guess because I never cared about it.
Right.
And so it was another thing that I said was just really interesting to learn about. Like, okay, Dhalston's a black guy. He doesn't care. Or he doesn't like it. So, okay, we can get rid of it. Who cares?
Yeah. I mean, it was never something that I felt personally like offended by or that like I was scared of or something. But I never understood that concept of like, let's like idolize this flag of people who like, they were doing bad things.
They broke away from the United States. Let's be fair. This is not the United States.
They basically said, I don't want to be American anymore because I want to own people. And you can say it was for states' rights, but it was for the state's right to own someone, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So, that was always weird to me. And then, like, y'all lost. So, like, why are you still waving this flag? Like, you lost. Like, and then they welcomed you back with like no repercussions. They were like, okay, you can come back, just let the people go, and we're all squared away. But we're gonna still fly this flag. I don't know. I just always thought that was weird, and
it plays into everything that's going on in this country.
Right.
It's just funny that I don't want to say funny. It's interesting that we had the conversation 6 years before everything kind of blew up about it, and it's why do people think that? I like that you lost. What do you guys even care? It was only 5 years too. I mean, the Republic of Texas was a state or a country for 10 years, so Texas had twice the length as a country by itself than the Confederacy. So it makes again, it's another thing, but we're growing. It seems like hopefully it's exposing a lot of bigots out there, which is good.
Yeah, and that's kind of like bouncing off of that with what's the Mississippi State running back's name? Kylan Hill.
Oh, yeah, yes.
And he's basically saying like he's not playing unless they change the state flag.
Which is weird. I haven't looked into the background of the state flag. Now, was the state flag there first and the Confederacy adopted that? Or did they adopt that after the Confederacy, to be the state flag to make them feel good?
So it's after.
Okay, yeah, nope, take it down, change it.
Right. So, I believe, let me see. The state flag was adopted in 1894.
Yep, change it.
30 years after y'all lost, you decided to let's put it on the flag. And honestly, this is the first time I've actually looked at the flag of Mississippi. Yeah. And I just why? Why?
That's a F you black people.
Literally, that's what it is. And that's just
okay. Yep,
me. Yeah.
Change it. And then somebody informed me. Do you know what Ole Miss stands for?
I don't.
So apparently Ole Miss is a reference to that's what they called the white slave owner's wife. She was the Ole Miss of the plantation.
Really?
And so, yeah, they're the Ole Miss rebels.
I just always thought old Mississippi, good old Mississippi kind of thing.
Yeah, because it's always weird because they call themselves Ole Miss. They're the University of Mississippi. And then it's the Ole Miss Rebels. But they still call them the Rebels, even though they changed the mascot to the Land Sharks, which is maybe the best mascot in the country, by the way.
Yeah.
So change the state flag. We can just call them the Mississippi Land Sharks, and I think we're all good at this point. But
I would agree.
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of push. There's going to be some idiot on Facebook talking about his flag and his Ole Miss Runner Rebels.
Absolutely, there's people out there that believe that flag is very important to them and their family. So if they want to believe that, then that's fine. But they gotta go.
Yeah, it's moving the opposite direction, buddy. Sorry, buddy.
It don't make any sense. I don't know.
It doesn't, but that's good. I think that's everything for this week. You got anything else you want to talk about?
No, man. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be back.
Oh, it's good to have you. It has been. You know what? We're gonna have you back on when LeBron wins his title, just so you can revel a little bit.
So I can say that I called it.
I'm waiting. If Boston makes it, I'm gonna. I already know you're the one. You got the Lakers, Celtics. So
I do.
He's feeling good.
We'll see.
We'll see. But yeah, we'll have you back on, and then hey, hopefully football runs around. Got the fantasy draft going. We might be having have to live stream that shit talking that goes on in that room. Picks. Oh god. So all right, that's gonna do it for us this week. We'll see you all next week.